Hello, everybody, and let me officially welcome you to the City of Bellingham's Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. I really think the sun came out for all of us in respect for the fact that all of you decided to come together on this great day to celebrate this great man in this great way. So thank you for being here. So I just want to say, with respect to all of our elders, we have some seats up front. If there are any elders in the back that need seats, please make way and let the elders have their seats so they can enjoy this in pure comfort. I need to start the day by recognizing the elected officials that are here. We have Terry Borneman from the Bellingham City Council. Lovely Mayor Kelli Linville. And I'm seeing two former mayors, Dan Pike and Tim Douglas. And Dan Hamill is here. Please raise your hand, Dan, so we can love you. There's Dan. Did I miss anybody else? Okay. So basically, I hope you'll join me in starting today in what I think is an appropriate day with a moment of silence for all of those who have given up so much, who have sacrificed so much, and especially those current modern-day people who have lost their lives as we fight to struggle for democracy and justice. So I thank you. I lift my hands to you. So for those of you that I haven't gotten a chance to meet yet, I'm a member of the Nooksack Indian tribe. I come to you today with great respect for my ancestors, for my elders, for my tribal members, and for tribal members everywhere. And I just want to say that I start every day thanking my ancestors for what they went through to help me be the person I am standing before you today. My name is Roxanne Murphy, and I am happy to be your Bellingham City Council member at large. But today I come to you to give thanks not just for my ancestors, but also for the work of Martin Luther King Jr. and so many others that were a part of the civil rights movement. The work that they did really helped create better days for each and every one of us. And it gives us the opportunity to walk the streets in our eternal pursuit of happiness, and that's what we deserve, is that right to pursue that happiness in whatever way we want. And I also give that thanks because I'm so grateful that you supported me and that all of the people that came before me supported me in helping me become the first person of color elected to this city council. Osiam Haishka, thank you. But we're fortunate to be here today to celebrate the work of Martin Luther King Jr., and we have so many great people that are going to help us celebrate this way. And I'd like to introduce the first. We have some sisters. They're known as the Jefferson sisters. They're from the Lummi Nation. They're also known as Thunderbirds who raised her. And they're going to come up here today to offer a song for all of us. Please welcome the Jefferson sisters.
The sun still sets after
Wow, those girls always make me cry. So now I'm really happy to introduce our next speaker. She is the one, she is the only Mayor Kelli Linville.
So Roxanne has done a wonderful job of welcoming you all here. Every day, as I'm the mayor of Bellingham, I'm inspired by something. And this morning, I was out at Maritime Heritage Park, and I was inspired by the people who answered the call for community service and came out there that day because I know that Dr. King not only led marches, I know that Dr. King did not only give speeches, I know that Dr. King served the community. And that is wonderful for me in the city of Bellingham that we both have our honoring ceremony, but we also go out there and do the hard work that makes our community a better place. As we know from the last singers, we still have our struggles and we still have our challenges, and we will move forward. And I want you to know that from the mayor of Bellingham. It's 1961. How many of you were alive in 1961? Okay, all you old people like me. 1961, and in the city that we determine is the most liberal city around, Seattle, in Washington State, Martin Luther King was coming to give his first and would have been only oration and speech at a church in Seattle. And before he could give his presentation, the church called and canceled his performance. 1961. They did later apologize for that, but this was in my lifetime. I was 13 years old, and that was still happening in our state in 1961. That to me is an observation that a lot has changed over time, but not everything is where it needs to be. In 1993, I voted for the first time to support civil rights in the state legislature, 1993. The Supreme Court is just taking up the issue of marriage equity this year, 2014. Oh, I'm sorry, I blew it. Now I want you to know that's the first time I've blown it this year. So, 2015, and we are still struggling with that. In 1978, as a pregnant first-time mom and a student at Western, I marched down Holly Street as we protested the Vietnam War. My uncle was a police officer, and he wagged his finger at me from the alley and said, "You go home." But the truth is, I didn't go home. I walked all the way down to the middle of the city, and we are still protesting the wars around our country and in our world. I read a quote today, and actually it was just today, from Martin Luther King. And this is I made it a little bit shorter. "This is no time to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism." And I believe that with all my heart, that you speak strongly and you set your goals, but I also believe that over time we have to implement every day, every week, every month, every year, the path where we get to our goals. So what I'd say to all of you, thank you for being here today. We don't want to gradually set our goals. We want our goals to be clear: freedom for all, equality for all, opportunity for all. And every day we're going to work in the city of Bellingham and the county and the state to make those things a reality for all of our residents. So with that, thank you so much for being here and honoring your city hall by participating in an event that is an inspiration to me every year, and I hope to all of you. Thank you for coming.
Kulshan Chorus is going to give us another wonderful performance. Let's welcome the chorus. I'm now happy to introduce one of our favorite people here in Bellingham. He is community leader and former music teacher, Edwin Skip Williams.
Wow. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. A few years back, if you can remember that far, we elected an African American president, Barack Obama. I never thought I'd live to see that day, but when it happened, there was a prevailing sentiment expressed by a lot of people that we have arrived and that now we can put the issues of race behind us. As important as that milestone was, however, recent events that have occurred continue to tell me we have not arrived and that we are still facing a very difficult reality when it comes to the issues of racism in our society. There is still a tremendous amount of work we have to do. A few weeks back, in light of what happened in Ferguson, I read the thoughts of an NFL football player, Benjamin Watson, on the situation there. And some of what he had to say resonated with me so much that I have taken the liberty of including his format in my remarks here today. First, I'm angry. Because the incidents and the stories of injustice that have been passed down for generations seem to be continuing before our very eyes. Humanity is still not extended to all of us in the United States. I'm frustrated because our culture and news coverage, to a certain extent, seems to glorify these types of incidents, promoting an invincible attitude on the part of some that continues to get people killed and feed the divisions that keep us all from moving forward. I'm fearful because in the back of my mind, I know that although I'm a law-abiding citizen, I have been and could still be looked upon as a problem to those who don't know me at all. As a result, me, my children, and my grandchildren may have to continue going the extra mile to earn the benefit of the doubt. I'm embarrassed because of the senseless looting, the violent protests, and the law-breaking, although they are expressions, only seem to validate stereotypes, confirm in some people's perceptions, and thus justify the inferior treatment instituted upon some members of our society. I'm sad because as a result, more lives have been lost, the racial divide has widened, communities are in shambles, accusations, insensitivity, hurt, and hatred are boiling over. In the words of the great Maya Angelou, hate. It has caused a lot of problems in this world. It hasn't solved one yet. I'm skeptical because, in general, our national historic pattern has been one of not confronting the legacy of racism, but sweeping the hardest questions under the rug for the sake of political expediency. In the words of our outgoing Attorney General, in things racial, we have always been and continue to be, in too many ways, a nation of cowards. In the current political climate, one part of me just expects things like this to just continue to happen. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point my grandchildren inherit the weight of all this. And all of that entails, just like me, my parents, and my grandparents. I'm introspective because sometimes I want to take our side without really looking at the facts in situations like this. And if you know me, I'm a person that wants to look at facts. Sometimes I feel like it's us against them. But if I did take that approach, I would be considered by some to be just as biased and prejudiced as people that point fingers at me. And that's just not right. I am confused because power, in my opinion, is a responsibility, not a weapon to brandish and lord over the populace. And in this day and time, I don't know why some individual law enforcement officers around the country seem to abuse their power and seem not to be held accountable for their actions, while the powerless seem to be held to a much higher standard and punished. However, I'm hopeful because I've lived long enough to see progress. I know that while we still have issues of race in America, that I enjoy a much different normal than those of my parents and my grandparents. I see it in my personal relationships. I see it in your faces out here. I have a lot of friends out there. The relationships within my profession that I retired from, my community here, and my friends and mentors that have helped me and my family in my life's journey. I don't think of the past accomplishments of the civil rights movement as a failure. What was accomplished at that time were big solutions to big, huge problems that shook the very foundation of our nation. What shows me now is that there is still work to be done, and we haven't gotten to the mountaintop. I'm encouraged. We're really fortunate here. Yes, as you've heard the mayor say, in a large way, there are several segments of our community here in Bellingham and Whatcom County that are concerned enough about the issues of institutional racism to actually step up and make sure that our local political infrastructure in some ways reflects the diversity within our community. It's not perfect, but when you look at our police force, the judicial system, our city council, we have a strong human rights task force, and over the years since I've been here, a large part of the community, when things have happened, have taken action. And no matter what we've been taught, societal change doesn't just happen out of the blue. The American Revolution didn't just happen because a couple of guys got angry with the king. The British government didn't fail in India just because a little guy from a village got upset. The bus boycott in Montgomery, protesting segregated seating on the bus system, didn't just happen because a seamstress was tired and refused to change her seat. And apartheid didn't just disappear in South Africa just because a politician went to jail. Every major monumental accomplishment happened because of public attention and public outcry, which created an atmosphere of creative tension, which in turn and in time ended the injustices of those situations. Societal and political change happens because of strategic thinking with clear intentions, solid leadership, careful planning, and disciplined, focused action. This transcends taking a narrow approach to addressing problems of race and economic equality in all facets for all people in our country. In the words of Frederick Douglass, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor change and yet deprecate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the land. This is a path that Martin Luther King Jr. exemplified, one that I embrace. And those are the concepts that give me hope that we as a community and a nation can transcend in these times to bring about true, lasting, and durable change. The need for change must overcome our wariness and our weariness. And to give up is a luxury that we just cannot afford. As Martin Luther King said way back in the 1950s, an individual has not started living fully until they can rise above the narrow confines of individualistic concerns to the broader concerns of humanity. Every person must decide at some point whether they will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? This is the only way that we as a community and a nation can achieve the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. Sitting around the dinner table and discussing things, although a good beginning, is not enough. We all must get involved in some way to step up and begin to implement change for the disenfranchised segments of our society. We have not arrived. Further, in the words of Frederick Douglass, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. That principled leadership and effort must come from each and every one of us at every level of our existence, locally, statewide, and even nationally, to take such action and say, enough is enough. This has to stop.
So I hope you might consider clapping your hands once more if you agree with this statement. Mr. Williams, we will take your words into our head and to our hearts as we focus on all of this work that we need to do to improve the community here and the communities everywhere for our people of color. Now I am really happy to have and to introduce a wonderful poet. Her name is Ellen Murphy. Please welcome Ellen.
Thank you. There are 2 chairs here I'm worried about. That I see all those people back there. Could you pass the word that right there in front, 2 chairs, if anyone needs them. I'd like to gratefully acknowledge the Coast Salish people for letting us be on this land with such graciousness. I was asked to write a poem about hope for today, and what? Oh, Marie told me not to. Okay. Is that better? I'll get her. It's based on a quotation that isn't that often heard by Martin Luther King. We must accept finite disappointment, but we must never lose infinite hope. So that was the theme of today. And I was asked to write a poem about hope. 3 to 4 minutes or something, I think it's 3. It took me to some very deep and far places. And I came back. A walk with hope. We walked along the shore of the intuitive mind, the one Albert Einstein called sacred. He said, change your thinking. To solve your problems, you must never be the same. I asked the mindful wind to blow away some ganglia. Let new mind come to fore. I confessed to hope. I'd walked with her before, but now it's sometimes hard to even say her name. She said, don't define me. We will imagine each other. So I saw her clear, a thing we live within, not a thing we have. It was simple. Everything alive wants to live, and she's the field it lives in. I met her in the seagrass and the fish. I saw her in the veg. But I said, Grandmother, I need more. All life is in your field. You're their desire and their dance. But we humans think. Okay, I'm sorry it's happening again. I'm afraid I can't finish. I'm sorry. This happened to me once before. Can someone finish it for me? Maggie? Okay. And we've thought ourselves into a wretchedness. Sorry.
She's just not feeling well. I'm Maggie. But I said, Grandmother, I need more. All life is in your field. You're their desire and their dance. But we humans think, and we've thought ourselves into wretchedness. Can you take Albert's warning to our hearts, put hubris to shame? Can you help us change the way we think? Work the program. Chatter less. Come through my doorway, child. Love will take you there. Love will help you think in a new way. The way of the sacred balance, the hoop of black elk. You will think like the inside trip of Gil Scott Heron that won't be televised. The happiness way of the 14th Dalai Lama. The thankful way of Cesar Chavez. The thankful struggle. Where is your doorway? I asked. I am the doorway, she replied. But you have to keep moving. Those who stay too long in the threshold remain a wish and lose momentum. You're standing there. Let your self-love be caught in the network of mutuality Martin saw, the single garment of destiny. Then see what happens when you think. I wanted to, but already at an inner brink I cried. Democracy is gasping. The earth is choking in fever. The world a battlefield. She was nodding like eelgrass. Many times I have escaped, unextinguished. You see, they really need me out of the way. I am the portal to potential, the possible, the conscious. So I must be exploited, enslaved, surveilled, strafed for race. You see, I descend from the first mothers, the mothers of hope, the ancestors, I thought, and we, the ancestors of the future. But what to do with the toxic powers and their believers, I asked, and the hate flame they've lit? What do they care for ancestors? Alchemize with your grief and pain, your yes and no, not humiliation that makes poison grow. Nonviolence will their brains bewilder, she said, and their well-armed hearts outwit. Asymmetric peace fair. Activate, do not cooperate, do not hate. Those are arrows. I am the bow. I heard how they fear her and the horror. I heard what to do, who she is. How could I spill more gall? But flailingly I did. Some say you died of exposure on a red and black poster. I am not dead. I did not die, she said. They say you're counter-revolutionary, complacency, a trope. If they stayed in the door like you, she said, their wish was not yet hope. The resistance I was in was the wrong resistance, I knew. The tide was rising, an empathic sky still blue. I stepped through. She walked back toward the holy and harrowed sea. I said, wait, your turn to confess. Are you infinite? She said, yes.
you'll clap your hands with another statement. Man, are we so lucky that we got to hear this work of art, and how fortunate we are to have her in our community. Thank you so, so much, Ellen. Now we will get another form of entertainment. One more song from the Kulshan chorus. Here we go.
Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. The stream sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me.
El barco en que navegamos, muchas manos lo construyó, y el mar a que usamos, todas tierras tocará.
Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Aunque el viaje ha sido largo y duro, seguimos navegando con un canto que nos juntará, si es nuestra voluntad. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. So with our hopes we set the sails and face the winds once more. And with our hearts we chart a course never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me.
Once once again, many thanks to the Kulshan Chorus. You know, I'm just really excited about how many cultures are getting represented so far today. If you love all culture, would you please clap your hands? Next, I'm happy to introduce someone that I have a great affinity for. She's an associate professor of education at Western Washington University. You're going to grow to love her. Her name is Kristen French. Please welcome her.
Roxanne. I just have to, before I begin, I'm feeling very supported by the incredible Indigenous women in this room. So thank you. Council member. Thank you so much for this opportunity to stand before all of you good people today on this Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. You know, honestly, I was honored and humbled and surprised to have been asked to speak to all of you. And so I asked myself why. And it was just within the last couple of days that I kind of figured it out for myself. And that is that it dawned on me that any one of us should and could be asked to come up here and speak about the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King and how it's present in our lives every day. So as a multi-heritage, multiracial, Gros-Ventre Blackfeet woman, I am the direct product of many of the civil rights legislations, including affirmative action. As also an undergraduate of Western Washington University. No plugs there. I also benefit from Dr. King's commitment to racial and economic justice. I benefit from Dr. King's commitment to the fight for peace and anti-militarism, and also anti-violence. So I stand here today for and with my children, Elizabeth and Charlie, and my mom. I stand here today with and for my beloved students and my colleagues, activist scholars like Dr. King. I'm standing here today for and with my friends. I'm standing here today for and with my Indigenous communities. I'm standing here today for and with my ancestors whose survival and resistance of colonialism made it possible for me to even exist today. I stand here before you for them. And I stand here before you with all my community members. Thank you. The work of Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement was for all of us. So before I said, why was I being asked? And I'm wrestling with this. So before I got to that point where I figured out why I was supposed to be here, I was driving, and being a teenager of the 80s, yes, I know you're surprised, right? You would have guessed the 90s, the 2000s, no. So I was listening to 80s Pandora radio and wrestling with what Dr. King's message and his presence and his community organizing really meant to me. And then I heard this song. So hold on, I got my cell phone right here for you, my Pandora. Now, what you need to know about me that wasn't in my bio is that not only am I a child of the 80s, but I love karaoke. Oh, yeah. Okay, now you have to remember though that karaoke is for people who can't sing but want to sing, so I'm going to say what I wrote here was that I wasn't going to worry you with my singing, but I think I am, because I got some support. So would you support me? Okay. Yes. Okay, so feel free to sing along, okay? Okay, here it goes. Oh, can I get... Come and go. Come on, you too. There you go. One man to overthrow. Ready for the chorus? In the name of love. One man in the name of love. In the name of love. right, that's, woo! Thank you. My public debut. Okay. So for those of you who don't know the song, may not be a child of the 80s, that was Pride in the Name of Love by U2. And Bono actually originally wrote that, from my understanding of this, is that he originally wrote it as a critique of Ronald Reagan. But he decided to highlight pride in the form of dignity, integrity, and love, instead of critique. And of course, that's a lot for me coming as an academic, right? Because we love to critique everything. But Dr. King himself said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." So, yes, thank you. So with love, Bono wrote the song honoring Dr. King, and both highlighted the man, but only one man. So what I'd like to do is to honor Dr. King's message of love, and that he tirelessly worked with community and collaboration. He was not one man in the name of love. He was one of many men and women in the name of love, in collaboration for this greater message, and also for solidarity and social justice, as love as a social movement. So my work in education has always been about love, always. Never question that. And it wasn't until recently that I would speak to my students about how anger fueled my actions for justice, but love sustained me. Well, I'm humbly admitting today to you that I was wrong. In fact, Dr. King said that I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. He also said, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. So over the past year, I've learned so much from Indigenous elders locally and from across the world. And in many spaces, I've learned that anger gets in our way. Love is an emancipatory practice. So one of my favorite scholars, Chicana scholar Kelli Sandoval, she writes, "Love as a social movement is enacted by revolutionary, mobile, and global coalitions of citizen activists who are allied through the apparatus of emancipation." Whoa. Okay, so you can see why I really love her as a scholar. So Dr. King spoke openly about love as a powerful force of social change. I recently found a speech because of my buddy Emily. There's Emily. Emily texted me early this morning, and she's like, did you see this on Democracy Now!" It was the speech, so please check it out. It's a speech that Dr. King gave in London right before getting the Nobel Peace Prize, and it's just been recently uncovered. And he talked a lot in that about love, and love as in form of nonviolent action. And he said it wasn't about, liking your enemies, because he said, I can't do that, basically. This is my interpretation of that. But that we have to love. So in his lifetime, he offered many tools for liberation. And I think sometimes we forget those tools. So honoring Dr. King and his coalition of citizen activists requires that we move beyond the rhetoric of the words and embody action, direct action for love. So recently I've been grappling with Dr. King's letter from Birmingham jail, and he wrote in it, it was a response to religious leaders who were critiquing his activism. It's a powerful letter. I hope that you go home tonight and read it or reread it or reread it and reread it and reread it. It's so good. As well as check out the speech that Emily sent me this morning from Democracy Now! Thinking about apparatus for emancipation or tools for liberation, he spoke about a nonviolent campaign, and this is what he said. In any nonviolent campaign, there are 4 basic steps. 1, collection of facts to determine whether injustices are alive. 2, negotiation. 3, self-purification. And 4, direct action. Today, we are facing many social challenges, globally, nationally, and locally. Whether it be issues of neocolonialism for our indigenous struggle for sovereignty and self-determination, police brutality, inequitable schooling, farm workers' rights, racism, or the repeal of civil rights legislations that Dr. King and communities worked so tirelessly and hard for. These issues that we are facing may seem overwhelming. Well, they are, right?
Oh, yeah.
And through love, we are called to action. So let's think about the tools Dr. King has offered us, all right? So let's break it down. I'm gonna break it down now. All right. I'm on a roll. Maybe I'll start singing some more. Let's have backup. So the collection of facts to determine whether injustices are alive. Understanding the issues from multiple perspectives, right? Gathering greater understanding of our community's struggles. Negotiation, the ways we problem solve together. Our courageous conversations. Our collaborations and our meaning making together. They're essential. Self-purification, now that's a juicy one. I really am interested in that. How do we embody critical consciousness personally and walk in a good way in the world every day? And direct action. How are we going to be agents for change? So during the civil rights movement, Dr. King and his allies, advocates, and agents for change were accused of being extremists, which I often hear about the term social justice, as if there's an option, right? So if we're not socially just, right? Does that mean we accept social injustice? Just put it out there. Okay. So Dr. King wrote in his letter from Birmingham jail, "But I have tried to say that this normal and healthy discontent can be channeled through the creative outlet of nonviolent direct action. Now, this approach is being dismissed as extremist. In quote, we hold these truths self-evident that all men are created equal, end quote. So the question is not whether we will be extremists, but what kind of extremists will we be? Will we be extremists for hate? Or will we be extremists for love? Will we be extremists for the preservation of injustice? Or will we be extremists for the cause of justice? Okay. Brilliance. So today, I'm grateful for the opportunity to talk with you about what's been going on in my heart since I was so graciously asked to speak some of my truths today. And as we enjoy this afternoon together and remember the collective actions of Dr. King and his extraordinary family, friends, students, colleagues, ancestors, and his imaginations of us as his community members, I ask you to ponder his questions. Will you be an extremist for love? Yeah. Okay, let me ask that again, because that felt good. Will you be an extremist for love? Will we be extremists for love? Okay, I leave you with one last quote from Dr. King. He said, I believed that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you. I just feel super honored to be up here with these amazing, extraordinary people and to be surrounded by beautiful music and all of you. Thank you. And I wish for you and send blessings for you that you have a beautiful day filled with extreme love.
Well, in Indian country, we talk an awful lot about the journey. And what I want to say is that I think that our wonderful professor here just gave us the path in that journey. So I wish to thank her. Just a couple of quick thoughts to close out. I know you've been standing here a while, and I thank you so much for that. Everyone is invited to attend the Martin Luther King Jr. Open Mic Poetry Night at the Community Food Co-op at 6 p.m. And if it's any enticement at all, I'll be offering a poem about what it's like to be Native in French. So we hope you might think of attending that. And then I just want to close with 3 questions. What are you going to do, or what are you going to compel other people to do to keep the dream alive? My second question is, if you hate someone or you hate something, what are you going to do to turn that thought around and to change your ways to make it a better world and a better community and a better life for yourself? And the last thing is, the Kulshan chorus is going to close with We Shall Overcome. Will you sing along? Just one more thing you may not know, the Kulshan Chorus has been a part of every single one of the city's MLK celebrations. We thank them. thank you for coming and make this a great day. Osiam, Haishka, thank you.